So good to see you.
So nice to see you. Tough act to follow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have any strong feelings about ranch dressing, or should we pivot back to AI?
All the flavors.
All the flavors. You should run for office. So Writer, as I told the audience, used to be really known for helping marketers harness AI. You've expanded a lot beyond that. Talk about what it is Writer is today. How many people are you? What are you guys up to?
Yeah, so we're almost 500 folks, including 200 right here in New York City. We're at One Pen and hiring like mad. We are a agentic AI platform that works with primarily Fortune 500 companies. By the end of this year, almost half will be Writer customers. And we're helping them build agents that scale. They are building, activating, and supervising agents inside of Writer across corporate functions as well as ops and back office.
I'm just going to interject for one second. We'd love to have those that are interested in the conversation stay. If you want to have a conversation, we have a lounge downstairs. It's great. Feel free to carry on your conversation there. So agents is obviously the big talk in AI. Everyone's doing agents. I have a couple of questions that I tend to come up in general around agents. And the first and foremost to me is, look, AI, generative AI, tons of promise, does a lot of things well. It's not perfect. When I use generative AI, I get a lot of interesting stuff, and sometimes I get stuff that just isn't true. It strikes me every time I hear someone say, we're turning it into an agent, I'm like, well, you're giving more power and more autonomy, more importantly, to something that really needs supervision. How do we make sure we're not giving too much autonomy too soon to agentic AI?
Yeah, totally. I was using one of the consumer models last week, and it was insisting that the year was 2024 and not 2025, right? And
I'm good with that.
Yeah. When you are in an enterprise environment, there's absolutely no room for error. And the way that we approach it is by really creating primitives inside the platform that give agents scaffolding. So that is from an engineering and product perspective. From a foundation model perspective, our models are built to be the workhorse for agentic. And what that means is really long context windows that are lossless. It means inference that makes sense for the enterprise. We've got folks who run dozens of agents on our platform for the cost of one or two using standard approaches. So, the ability to keep humans in the loop and designing workflows that not only provide blueprints for agents to follow, but have lots of checks and balances for the experts in a process to actually inspect the data and look at the citations and have an audit trail. All of that is essential for agents that actually work at work.
And sometimes people need a good concrete example, and it's we start talking agents, and I have this fear that somebody's in the back of the old
everybody. Yeah.
Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
Talk about what it means in real terms. You had an example recently.
Yeah.
Mars was using it, because if you make candy bars, like once upon a time, Hershey's just Mars, whoever, just put the same bars on the shelves all year round. Now they've got something for every season. Talk about how they harnessed AI to make better use of those promotional seasonal things.
In CPG and retail, the impact to revenue is immense and fast. You've got real-time personalization across channel. You've got lots of customers doing that. You've got a agentic AI approach to generative AI engine optimization, which used to be SEO. And the ability for you to agentically take information about your customers or things that you've got a thesis they care about and actually in real time reach into those systems that publish the information to them, be that an e-commerce site or your own website, is very, very powerful. In financial services, we've got incredible agentic powerhouse work, agentic use cases around KYC, right? You are a client.
Know your customer.
Yes, know your customer. You are a client at a big bank. Well, you are always doing KYC, right, across multiple products in that bank. we are now building agents that can take a client's information and actually propagate them into the various systems in the back end, product by product, and that really presents tremendous upsell opportunities to financial services firms. So a lot in client onboarding, a lot in customer service from an agentic perspective is possible, and we're really able to work objective backwards with customers, and they're not constrained to working only within the confines of legacy systems. Now the agents can really do the dirty work behind the scenes, stitching them all together.
So when I talk to most of the AI enterprise companies, what I hear is we're model agnostic, we work with everyone, that way you can plug and play and use whatever's best in the moment. Increasingly, the few big companies are spending a fortune on their models. Everyone else is kind of riding the backs of those big investments and kind of specializing. So I was kind of surprised to hear you guys are still investing in your Palmyra models, you're still developing models. Why and what does that get you that you wouldn't have if you just used the models by the Anthropics and OpenAIs of the world?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a tremendous amount of control and reliability and consistency that we provide customers, being able to, out of the box, really have a model experience that they can rely on, that's efficient, that really makes economic sense. And for us, these are models that we train on synthetic data. They are state-of-the-art models. These are 400, 500 billion parameter models that benchmark against the other labs out there. But we are maniacally focused on the enterprise, and it's why we were first to synthetic data, which allows us to be IP-friendly and commercially safe, get through all of the RFPs that the enterprise cares about, and we've kept up. Now, we are also agnostic in that in our agent builder platform, you can mix and match models, but outside of pulling a Gemini for image generation or going into a video generation or voice generation model, folks are very happy to just be able to really build quickly off of the built-in primitives built on Palmyra. And as a startup, if you can do something highly differentiated, why wouldn't you? And it just allows us to really present roadmaps to customers that our competitors who don't have their own models simply cannot. Once you are AI native, you're using LLMs to solve all sorts of problems, right? We are using our LLMs to write the integrations if there isn't an MCP server for a product or a system that someone wants to integrate to. We're using agents to build agents and all sorts of things you couldn't do if we were using third-party models.
So when we talked a year ago, I think we were sitting outside in San Francisco at Salesforce's big convention that takes over the city, and I asked you kind of where things were going, and you said, look, we're going way beyond marketing, we're going to be in all kinds of departments. That's happened. Where are you investing next? What are some of the next goals you have for Writer? Clearly, continuing to develop your own models is one thing. What else should we expect to see from y'all?
We're so excited about self-evolving models and what that means all the way up to...
That sounds really scary. Tell me what you mean.
Okay. Well, you can freeze them and then put them into production, and we're creating synthetic environments for these models to learn, et cetera. But essentially what it means is, finally, models that can generalize from their experience. And right now, when you train models, that training data is static, and you release them out into use cases, but they don't really learn from their experience. And if you're interacting with an agent and you're like, hey, you made a mistake, right? Like, this is wrong. Right now, there is no elegant way to actually capture that information so that when Ina uses this agent, you actually get one that's better and doesn't make the same kinds of errors and mistakes. And so for us, what we're doing is essentially building a memory layer into each layer of that model that kind of becomes the customer's proprietary IP, that core memory that we can actually help them take model to model. And I'm really excited about what that means.
And are you going into more verticals, more international? You getting ready to learn all that lingo so you can do an IPO? What are you thinking?
I like those letters. It is really exciting. What I'm so pleased about is so many of our customers now, not only are they rewiring workflows AI first, but they're like, how do we build new businesses that are AI native from the get-go? So we just came from downtown, major customer, global bank, who is going to build really incredible advisory services that are AI first from the get-go. We've got a customer in the healthcare space that is going to build a DTC business that is AI native. So I think once we are able to really increase GDP, once we're really able to increase growth rates, the things that I think we as AI companies really believe this is such a net positive for society and really will create many more jobs, that's going to start happening, and we're really right around the corner from that.
One of the reasons I love talking to you is you've built such an interesting business and growing so fast in so many directions. Another reason I always love talking is we tend to vibe around the conversations around how do we make sure the technology that the industry is building is equitable when we know the training data has its own biases. We know there's all these ways that left unchecked, the technology will just not produce the world that many of us want in terms of being equitable, in terms of not exacerbating income inequality, in terms of not spreading misinformation. One of the things I've warned about is it feels like now is the time to act. Like when there's bias in a system, we can sometimes still see it because it's coarse enough that what we end up with is Google churning out black founding fathers, and we can be like, wait, there's something wrong. My worry is if we don't do something in the next couple years, it just gets baked into the system. How do you think the industry is doing? Where do we need to focus more that we aren't paying enough attention to?
What I love about what the enterprise is doing is, there may be this backlash against ESG, et cetera, but it's fully baked inside of the enterprise. And what I love is when folks ask us about our training data and our bias mitigation and detection. We have spent so much effort really building that scaffolding inside of our model development and training. People ask about our carbon footprint. Well, great. We've also trained models really efficiently. We run them for you really efficiently. And so, inside of the enterprise, it may be quiet. People aren't headlining about it. They're not advertising it anymore, but they really do care about it. And we're building a company around responsible AI. We are one of only 2 companies globally that's got the trifecta of certifications in AI, responsible AI being one of them. Google is the only other company that's done that. And as part of that whole protocol, everything from how we do permissions and access control to how we train models and then how we communicate and how transparent we are about that training, the diversity of our teams. We're 40% women. That meeting that I just talked about, it was all women on the writer side. And I'm actually in a lot of meetings where folks are like, okay, yeah, I don't really see AI companies that look like this. And it's awesome because we attract the best talent in the world as a result of both our stances and our diversity.
And you mentioned that, and I feel like we don't hear that enough. It used to be, I would hear, we have 30 years of business research that's saying diversity might be a value in and of itself, but it's also just good business. Yeah. And it feels like one side of the political debate has managed to turn diversity and equity and inclusion somehow into a negative. Talk about, did I miss something? Did the research change? Or are those things still really important to serving a client base that I assume is also diverse?
Oh, totally. We published research on this around Davos. So many of the majority of the transformation leaders that we work with in the enterprise are people of color, are women. And so for us, really reflecting that, and these are technical leaders, but they're bridge building. They are bringing stakeholders along. They're doing a ton of change management, and those kinds of folks right now, are really courageous in championing AI, and we want them to really feel like the writer team and our generative AI pods are really reflective of them. We've got customers who have told us in the Fortune 500, they no longer can ask their HR departments for the data on their workforce. People see how diverse we are, and they're like, ooh, how did that happen? And then I ask them the same question, and they're like, my HR department won't let me ask how diverse my team is or how many women are across the department. And it's just really sad.
So in addition to that, we have about a minute left. I'm curious, what else aren't we talking enough about as an industry? I mean, the AI, the technology is moving incredibly fast. People are trying their best to adopt it at breakneck speed. What do we need to be talking about more?
Yeah, the training is so important. At OnePen right now, we've got a packed office, as we do in real life, builder training. And there's a real democratization of who can be an AI engineer today. It's such a wide spectrum of technical capabilities that we can now invite to use these primitives to do really powerful stuff. And not enough employers are investing in it. Not enough vendors are leaning in to do the kind of training and certifications that make this a much more equitable kind of transformation. So I don't think we talk about that enough. We talk about 50% of jobs are going away. I don't know that I believe that at all, but it's our responsibility to really bring people along from a training and skills perspective.
Well, May, thanks again. Always great to talk to you. Great candid conversation.
Thank you so much.
Everyone, May Habib.
Thanks.